Welcome to the Clarity Advantage podcast. I'm your host, Steve Yapsuga, and today we're going to talk about careers in motion, personal brands, shorter tenures, lost middle management, and what leaders must do to build teams that thrive in this new environment today. I want you to hold this number, 3.9 years. That's the median time an American wage and salary worker stays with a single employer. This is the lowest level since the early 2000s. But the median is not the full story. The spread is the story. In January last year, ages 25 to 34, the average stay was 2.7 years. Ages 55 to 64, 9.6 years. That's two tenured economies operating inside the same company. We're also talking about one of the unique times in our history. The elephant in the room is these four generations must coexist together. All four in the workforce at the same time. When we're talking about one group, Gen Y and Gen Z, this group is optimizing for speed, for momentum, for operationality. The other group, for Gen X and baby boomers, for the other group, Gen X and boomers, they're carrying deep institutional memory. Now layer in the change. That's accelerating everything. The middle layer is thinning out. One major analysis found that US employers were advertising 42% fewer middle management positions at the end of last year compared to 4 years ago. So what does this mean to us? Fewer translators, fewer coaches, fewer continuity owners. At the exact moment, careers are moving faster, and the market signal is loud right now. In January 2026 alone, U.S. employers announced over 108,400 job cuts. This is the highest January total since 2009. Even if your company isn't cutting, your people are watching the environment, and they're making decisions. Today, we're going to do four things. First, define what an individual brand is. Not hype, mechanics. 2, connect shorter tenures, lost middle management, and volatility to why people are acting more like free agents. 3, translate that into leadership moves that create continuity and retain high performers. And 4, close with a 90-day assessment that you can run on one team, a concrete operating reset for a world where careers are in motion. Stay with me. This is practical. So let's define it, an individual brand today. This isn't just a resume line. It's a proof of work in public. It's a visible body of outcomes that can be seen, shared, and verified. And when proof becomes public, careers move differently. People don't wait for promotion cycles. They build signal. People don't wait for sponsorship. They build distribution. People don't rely on a title. They rely on proof. Let me read a definition exactly because it's clean, it's useful. Public portfolio plus monetizable presence. Professionals publish short case studies, maintain a visible body of work, LinkedIn posts, GitHub, Substack, Instagram Reels, and often they'll monetize through consulting, creator deals, or speaking. That's the new default. The portfolio becomes the resume. The audience becomes distribution. The signal becomes, I don't need a job posting to be marketable. Now, here's an important distinction. Personal brand is not being loud. It's being legible. Legible means I can see what you did. I can see how you think. I can see what results you create. And that's why this is showing up everywhere. Education, sports, politics, business. Visibility turns into leverage. In education, students are showing projects, startups, creative work, proof of initiative. Distribution is power. A direct audience bypasses gatekeepers. In sports, we've seen it. NIL, it's made it measurable. Following engagement, sponsor fit, story. And in business, the employee with proof negotiates differently. They get approached faster. They move faster. Here's the employer side. Recruiting is now a marketplace for visible talent, and marketplaces don't wait for you to post the job. They pull people when signal is high. Now, here's where leaders tend to miss the plot. They feel fear, confidentiality risk, divided attention, employees using us as content. That fear is understandable, but it's incomplete because the bigger risk is this. If your organization does not convert internal performance into visible opportunity, your best people will convert it into external opportunity for you. Let me make this real. Someone ships a launch inside the company. The work is huge, but the visibility is small. They get a nice job in a meeting. Then everyone moves on. But that person takes the work and creates a public artifact, a one-page case study, a demo clip, a short post with metrics and lessons learned. Now the market has a handle. Recruiters can place them. Founders can imagine them. Clients can trust them. Here's the twist. The employee didn't change. The signal changed. And that's why recognition is not enough. Recognition is emotional. Signal is economic. Now, this shift is also why people are moving into portfolio careers, a sequence of 6 to 18-month outcomes with proof attached, a build, a scale, a turnaround, a fractional engagement, and every project becomes a credential. If you want the clearest example of where leverage is going, look at college athletics. Open Doors estimated an annual spend on NIL products and services at about $918 million back in 2021 and about $2.6 billion last year. And they documented the transfer portal effect. The average NIL deal price tripled in the weeks after the portal window. And for basketball, offers surged more than 5 times above previous payout levels. That's labor economics with the mask off. Visibility creates valuation. Valuation creates mobility. Mobility creates negotiating power. And the workforce is learning the same lesson. Build signal, build operationality, negotiate from leverage. So let me give a quick NIL story, non-specific on purpose. A mid-major athlete starts posting consistently. Training, film, routines, the mindset. Nothing flashy, just consistent. Over time, that content becomes signal, discipline, professionalism, work ethic. Then a mobility window opens. The portal. Now their value isn't only performance. It's story, community, reach, and offers change fast. From the outside, it looks sudden, but it's not sudden. It's leverage showing up when mobility becomes possible. Now zoom out. That mechanism is in your workforce. People build proof so when a reorg hits, a layoff hits, or a ceiling hits, they don't start from zero. So what do you do as a leader? You don't ban this. You align it. Move 1, define brand safe visibility. No confidential numbers, no customer names, no internal strategy, no misrepresentation, but yes to methods, frameworks, general learnings, non-sensitive outcomes. Move 2, build internal portfolios. Require a one-page case study for real work. Store them in a searchable internal library. This is not PR. This is talent infrastructure. Move 3, reward coaching and development. If you don't reward it, coaching loses to meetings. Move 4, build reciprocity. Support appropriate visibility in exchange for continuity. Playbooks, handoffs, training, and internal case studies. Because here's the deal. If employees can't see opportunity inside the building, they will create it outside the building. Here's a quick exercise. Open a blank document. List 3 artifacts that you and your team can produce in 6 to 12 weeks. Then prove a skill. Keep it concrete, deliverable, metric. Have an audience. Because if you're not producing proof, you're competing with no signal. Now, let's shift. Let's talk shorter tenures, the lost middle management, and volatility. What does this do to teams? And here's the exact line I want on the record. Median tenure fell 3.9 years last year from 4.6 in 2014, a 15% decline over a decade. But again, the spread is the reality. 25 to 34, 2.7 years. 55 to 64, 9.6 years. Now, what generations are those? 25 to 34 is primarily millennials, with the oldest edge of Gen Z entering the bottom. 55 to 64 is primary Gen X at the younger end and boomers at the older end. So you have 2 career models inside one company. Fast cycle expectations inside long cycle systems. Now add the accelerant, the lost middle management. 42% fewer middle management job postings were at the end of last year than in the spring of 2022. Let me say what that means in operational terms. It means less coaching capacity, less translation, less continuity ownership. In middle managers, they're the glue. They turn strategy into priorities. They catch misalignment early. They create momentum through repetition. And they make people feel seen, developed, supported. When that layer thins, 3 things happen. 1, managers inherit more direct reports. One-on-one slip. Feedback turns reactive. Development turns uneven. 2, decisions move up the chain. Executives get overloaded. Teams wait longer. Speed slows. 3, employee experience becomes you're on your own. And when people feel they're on their own, they behave like independent operators. They build external operationality. They become personal brands. They build a public portfolio. They build a safety net. That's not disloyalty. That's rational response to a thinner support system. Now layer in volatility. In January 2026, unemployment was a 4.3%. Long-term unemployment, people were jobless for 27 weeks or more. It was 1.8 million. That's 25% of all unemployed people. And the layoff signal spiked hard. 108,435 job cuts were announced in January, the highest since January of 2009. So even when unemployment isn't high, the signal can still feel anxious. Headline cuts, reorgs, AI noise, whiplash priorities, unclear paths. And in anxious environments, people protect operationality. They update LinkedIn, they network, they take side work, they build signal. So if you want retention, don't sell loyalty. Build meaningful leadership, clarity, coaching, credible growth. Meaningful leadership is not vibes. It's operational. People know what matters. People know how decisions get made. People know what good looks like, and they trust effort turns into opportunity. I've seen this story over and over. A company flattens, 2 layers compressed into one. The memo says efficiency. The spreadsheet says savings. But on the floor, managers inherit double the load. One-on-ones get pushed. Coaching gets reactive. And the people quietly holding continuity. The ones you know, which customer is sensitive, which process is brittle, which vendor is a landmine. That knowledge stops getting reinforced daily. 6 months later, a higher performer leaves, not because they hate the company, because momentum feels slow. support feels thin, and the market is calling. Then something breaks. Predictability. Rework spikes. Onboarding slows. A customer gets frustrated. A project slips, and leadership is surprised. That's not a people problem. That's a continuity design problem. If you like what you're watching, please like and subscribe. I appreciate the support. Thank you. And if you're listening to this and thinking, yes, this is exactly what we're feeling, this is the Clarity Advantage podcast. Follow the show, like the episode, subscribe whenever you listen or watch. And I want to hear from you. What are you experiencing right now? Shorter tenures, fewer middle managers, more reorgs and whiplash, more people building personal brands for leverage? Message me or comment with one sentence. What changed the most on your team over the last 12 months? All right, back to it. So here's the practical requirement. You have to capture continuity on purpose. And you can do this without an org redesign. You need a few simple systems that turn churn into stability. Move 1, dynamic career maps. A one-pager per direct report, core skills, 90-day outcomes, 1 proof artifact, 2 internal collaborators, 1 growth edge. This is not a performance review. This is a continuity and growth map. It tells the employee that I see you. I am investing in you. Your growth has a plan. Move 2, 90-day role contracts with a 30-day onboarding sprint. Short outcome-based agreements, deliverables, stakeholders, decision rights, knowledge capture. Here's why this matters. Fast cycle talent decides in 90 days if the environment is worth it. If the first 90 days is chaos, they won't stick around to see it gets better. Move 3, reciprocity plans. Support appropriate external visibility in exchange for internal continuity. Playbooks, handoffs, training others. Internal case studies. This does 2 things. It aligns incentives and it protects the business. Move 4, ecosystem heat maps. A simple map of 6 external magnets, most likely to recruit your people. Competitors, recruiters, peers, high-paying adjacencies, big brands. Not paranoia, preparedness. Now track a few signals that tell you if your team is healthy. Artifact rate. Do projects end with proof you can evaluate? Knowledge redundancy. How many people can do the critical thing? External offer. Are your high performers getting approached constantly? If work disappears into meetings, your best people will build proof outside the building. Now, continuity rituals that work in real companies. The handoff packet. 1 owns, 1 shadows and documents. Key decisions, stakeholders, 2 for critical workflows. Decision logs, what we learned, why, when we revisit. These are not process. These are trust builders. They tell your team, we won't burn you out with avoidable chaos. Now, here's your 10-minute exercise for this week. Pick 1 direct report. Build their career map. Sketch their 6 external magnets. Identify 1 single point of failure. Offer 1 reciprocity action this month. Do that once, and you'll feel how leadership has changed. Now let's shift to education, because the pipeline is changing as well. Education is moving from degree-centric to portfolio-centric. The market is saying, show me what you can build. Show me how you think. Show me outcomes. So students are responding with public artifacts, projects, channels, startups, case studies. A degree is still a baseline signal, but it's not the differentiator. Portfolios differentiate. So what must education do? Portfolio first credentialing, 3 to 5 artifacts before graduation. employer residencies, 6 to 12 weeks where students ship real work, international travel, stackable micro-credentials co-validated by employers so they're legible, and lifelong re-entry pathways. As job content shifts, if you hire graduates, ask, does their first 90 days produce a proof artifact you can evaluate? If the answer is no, you're hiring on resume signals. And then you're surprised when capability is uneven. If the answer is yes, you reduce risk, you accelerate confidence, you shorten time to contribution. Let me give you a comparison. 2 candidates, same major, same GPA. One has a public artifact, a short case study with a problem, a method, an immeasurable result. The hiring manager doesn't have to guess. They can see capability. They can evaluate thinking. That person moves faster because proof reduces risk. Internal mobility works the same way. If you want people to grow inside, build internal proof. Now let's close with what you can actually run. A 90-day assessment on one team. This is not a culture program. This is an operating reset. The goal is simple. Turn uncertainty into clarity and turn clarity into execution fast. 5 lenses. And this is what you're looking for. Lens 1, clarity. Can people explain the top 3 priorities in 1 minute? Do executives, managers, and frontline give the same answer? If you get 3 different answers, you don't have clarity. You have noise. Lens 2, operating cadence. Do you have a weekly rhythm that produces decisions and ships outcomes? Or do you have meetings that report status while blockers survive? Lens 3, continuity. Where are your single points of failure? What breaks if 2 people leave? Lens 4, manager capacity. Are leaders coaching or reacting? How often do one-on-ones happen? When was the last time someone got specific feedback that changed their behavior? Lens 5, talent momentum. Do high performers see a path inside the building or outside? Now here's the 90-day sequence. Days 1 through 10, baseline. Pull facts, turnover, roles that churned, projects that slipped. This is time to first contribution for new hires. Top single points of failure and capture the felt experience. Where are they frustrated? Where are they blocked? Days 11 through 30, truth, structured interviews, leaders, frontline, a few stakeholders. You're listening for 3 types of friction: clarity friction, decision friction, continuity friction. At day 30, you produce an assessment brief. What's working? What's failing? And the 3 constraints that, if removed, change everything. Days 31 through 60, install a simple cadence. Weekly priorities, 6-week sprints or 2-week sprints, visible deliverables, and a handoff artifact at the end of each sprint. This is where you create proof, not as marketing, as management. Every sprint ends with a 1-page case study, a process map, a customer outcome, a metric improvement, something real. And this is where you roll out career maps. Each direct report gets a 1-pager. Skills, 90-day outcomes, 1 proof artifacts. Now growth becomes legible. Now momentum becomes internal. Days 61 through 90, scale and harden. Remove single points of failure. Create redundancy on critical tasks. Lock in decision rhythm so speed doesn't depend upon heroics. At day 90, you should have a 1-page operating system, a 90-day roadmap, documented handoffs for critical workflows, an internal portfolio library, and a talent risk map. Who's at risk and why? Now define success with 5 simple metrics. Time to first contribution, artifacts produced per sprint, rework reduction measured by cycle time or defects, knowledge redundancy on the top 5 critical tasks and intent to stay at day 1 versus day 90. If you run this with discipline, you'll see the pattern. Companies losing talent fastest aren't losing it because of work ethic. They're losing it because the operating system produces friction and hides opportunity. Your job is to remove friction and make opportunity visible fast. And when people experience clarity, coaching, and growth, staying becomes rational. In my next episode, I'll be joined by Kent Devereaux, president of Goucher College, to explore how higher education is responding and what leaders can borrow to build resilient teams. This is the Clarity Advantage podcast. If this episode helped you see your team more clearly, or gave you language for what you're experiencing, or a playbook you can actually run, do 3 things. Follow the show, like this episode, and subscribe wherever you listen or watch. And I'd really like to hear from you. What are you experiencing in your organization right now? What's the most noticeable shift in the last 12 months? Tenure, engagement, burnout, free agent behavior, a missing middle layer that used to hold everything together? Send me a sentence. Here's what we're dealing with. And here's what we're trying to fix. Because here's the truth. The workforce has changed and leadership must change with it. I'll see you next time.